When Jesus was on the cross and he said it was finished, he was talking about what he did for us, and that's all we need is his shed blood. And this song's called God's Ready When You Are. You've been wandering aimlessly, searching a lifetime, trying to find a reason for it all. So you've been thinking recently that maybe this time you won't turn a deaf ear to his call. God's ready when you are. God's ready when you are. He's done all he can do. God's ready when you are. He's waiting for you. God's ready when you are. So many times before you found that old mom, not really knowing what to do. Confusion greets each day. You turn to Jesus, knowing he'll always pull you through. God's ready when you are. God's ready when you are. He's done all he can do. God's ready when you are. He's waiting for you. God's ready when you are. He sent his son for you. Jesus, he died for you. Amazing love for you. He's waiting now for you. God's ready when you are. He's done all he can do. God's ready when you are. He's waiting for you. God's ready when you are.
Where the nails once broke your skin, did his faith finally begin? I've lied if I've denied the common ground that I share with him. And I really want to know you. I want to make each day a different way that I can show you how. With my doubt, I'm just trying to figure out how easily we come to you, and I really want to know you. I want to make each day a different way that I can show you how. I really want to love you. Be patient with my doubt. I'm just trying to figure out your will, and I really want to know you still. No more camping on the porch of indecision, and no more sleeping under stars of apathy. Yeah. It might be easier to dream, but dreaming's not for me. And I really want to know you. I want to make each day a different way that I can show you how. I really want to love you. Be patient with my doubt. I'm just trying to figure out your will, and I really want to know you still.
First thing I'd like to do first is just share a couple testimonies about my brother, Tony Dariano. Now, I've known this guy for 35 plus years, and I'm telling you, it's been a heck of a ride. Tony and I are exact opposites. Tony can do anything with any tool known to mankind. My gift is being mechanically challenged. I can't do a single thing. I don't know which end of a hammer to use. So to give you a couple examples, just a couple weeks ago, Tony's over at my house, and I happened to mention to him that my kitchen sink's draining slow. So he said, well, let's go down and take a look at this thing. We get down in the basement, and we look, and here's a pipe coming out from the kitchen sink and going outside. And he says, well, that's got a clean out on it. So his brother has a power Roto-Rooter thing. He says, I'll borrow that, we'll just clean that baby right out and everything will be fine. And the only thing draining on this drain is the kitchen sink and the washing machine. No kind of sewer or anything like that. So we go and we get that thing and we get down into the basement, and Tony takes the clean out thing off, and that pipe is jam solid. It's about this big around. It's jam solid with some kind of black stuff. Have no clue what it is, and it's almost as hard as a rock. Tony takes that thing off and he goes, ugh, when he sees what's in there. So he's got this power snake, and he starts trying to shove that power snake into this stuff. And this stuff is almost as hard as concrete, it seems to be. And he's shoving and shoving and shoving and working and pulling, and I'm there right over his shoulder looking. I'm hanging right over his shoulder, and he's just working away trying to get this in there. And then he gets in there a good ways, and we don't know how far we've gone. Well, we want to get an idea about how much further we have to go, so he's pulling it back out. Now, this is a power Roto-Rooter. So that thing is just constantly working. He puts it in reverse, and now it's working backwards, but it's got this knob in it that spins all around, and he's backing it out, and he's backing it out, and he's backing it out, and he's peeking down in there and just trying to see what's going on. Now, the way he's peeking, he's looking like this, kind of looking over the top of his glasses, and I'm hanging over his shoulder looking at what he's looking at, you know, and he's pulling out, and this thing's just flipping all around inside that tube, and all of a sudden it comes loose. It comes out outside, like this, you know, and it's flinging black gunk all over the place. And a big gob of this goo goes right above Tony's glasses, right in the eyeball. He gets this big smear of this goo all over his face, you know? So he jumps back and goes, oh man, it got me. It didn't even get his glasses dirty. Just went right in his old eye. And I said, well, Tony, I says, don't worry. I says, at least there's something to be thankful for. He says, and what is that? I says, well, you ain't going spitting it out. That was something to be thankful for, Tony had this thing. We were helping a brother who had moved into an apartment, and he had more kids than he had bedrooms. So a bunch of us from church went over there to help him put in some bedrooms up in the attic. And we're working our way up there. I'm watching everybody, really. That's what I do when I go out on these things. I just hang around and watch, because I make more trouble. I make more work for people when I try to help. So anyway, we're up there, and we're up in the attic, and we have to get electricity up into the attic from the basement in this house. And we're trying to figure out how to do that. Tony's trying to figure out how to do that. So there's a steep roof with a chimney on the outside. So Tony says, that chimney, there might be a gap between that chimney that we could just drop something down in and feed the line down into the basement. This sounds like a plausible theory, So Tony has this thing called a plumb bob. It's a solid brass triangle that hangs from a string so you can get things straight, see how they are, And Tony's had this plumb bob. His son was 40 years old, and Tony's had that plumb bob longer than he's had his son. He had this plumb bob a long time. And Tony said, well, what we'll do is tie a string on this plumb bob and then drop it down alongside the chimney, and it'll go down into the basement, and then we can pull wire and so forth, That sounds like a plan. But this roof was so steep that neither me nor Tony, we kind of stout guys, we couldn't quite work our way back there. So the guy we're doing this work for, he's a little skinny dude. He says, well, I can do it. Just all right, So he handed him the plumb bob, and the one worry we had was whether or not the string was long enough, because we had to hunt up some string. We got this piece of cotton string, and whether or not it'd be long enough to go all the way down to the basement. And we weren't sure, so we figured, well, we'll give it a whirl and see what happens. So this guy squirms his way back in there alongside the chimney. He's laying there on the floor, and he just chunks the plumb bob into the hole. Now Tony, he's trying to give the guy some direction, but Tony's about a step and a half behind the guy. Before the words come out of his mouth, this guy's already a step and a half ahead of Tony. What Tony's going to tell him. So this guy just throws it down. Tony was going to tell him to ease it down, but away that plumb bob went down into the crevice there, And so it jams somewhere along the way. And the guy's got a hold of the string, and it's going, like he's going to try to pull it back up. And Tony's going, don't, but all of a sudden, ping, and here's the guy's got another one string in his hand. Tony's plumb bob is lost somewhere in the middle of this house, in the wall somewhere, So Tony sees this string break loose, and the guy's just holding the string here, and Tony is so upset, he just turns around so the guy can't see the grief that's etched on Tony's face for losing this plumb bob. He's all moaning and groaning. He's about ready to burst into tears. He turns around, and here we are standing each other face to face. I saw Tone. Looks like old Bob's plumb gone. Well, we cracked up, right? We fall on the floor. We're laughing and howling until tears come. We're just rolling around laughing, and then finally caught our breath. I says, well, at least we found one thing out, Tony. We had enough string. It only had to go halfway. So anyway, so much for fun.